Hello there. Welcome back, or welcome to the first time, to hiking with the Book of Mormon. And it's stuck. Wait for it. I'll get it. Don't you worry. My gun. It is really stuck. Okay. So we are just going to be picking back up where we left off in the last video, when we were talking about how Laman and Lemuel and Nephi and Sam all had gone back to Jerusalem to try to get the brass plates, and it didn't turn out too well. Laban tried to kill them, and they lost all their gold and their silver, and then here comes Laman and Lemuel, and they start beating Nephi and Sam with rods or sticks. Angel appears to him and commands them to go back again. So we'll pick back up there in chapter 4, and let's just get to it. And it came to pass that I spake unto my brethren, saying, Let us go up again unto Jerusalem, and let us be faithful in keeping the commandments of the Lord. For behold, he is mightier than all the earth. Then why not mightier than Laban and his 50, yea, even than his tens of thousands? Therefore let us go up. Let us be strong like unto Moses, for he truly spake unto the waters of the Red Sea, and they divided hither and thither. And our fathers came through out of captivity on dry ground, and the armies of Pharaoh did follow, and were drowned in the waters of the Red Sea. Now behold, ye know that this is true, and ye also know that an angel spake unto you. Wherefore can ye doubt? Let us go up. The Lord is able to deliver us, even as our fathers, and to destroy Laban, even as the Egyptians. Okay, I can sympathize or empathize, probably sympathize with Laman and Lemuel a bit here, because they're scared. Laban tried to kill them once already, and going back, that feels kind of like a bad plan. Basically, it's like at the same time I do kind of sympathize with them, I also have a hard time sympathizing with them for that reason, that like literally an angel of God appeared to them and told them to go back. And still Nephi is having to convince them. He's like telling them of all these things that the Lord has done in the past. And he has to convince them that they need to go back. They need to do what the Lord says. I think I could relate with them a lot better if no angel had appeared. So I could relate to them a lot better if no angel had appeared. But because an angel of God literally appeared to them and told them to go back and get the plates, makes it a little harder for me. I don't know about you, but if an angel appeared to me and he told me to go do something, even if I had already tried it, I would do it again. I wouldn't sit back and be like, no, it's impossible. Can't do this. I've already tried. I definitely would not do that. Yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to kind of point out, like, I understand that they were afraid, and to some degree I can empathize with them. But once you put into factor the angel, it gets harder to to empathize with them. Okay, let's keep on going. Now, when I had spoken these words, they were yet wroth, and did still continue to murmur. Nevertheless, they did follow me up until we came without the walls of Jerusalem. So even after the angel appears, and Nephi is telling them all about what the Lord has done, they're still complaining and not wanting to do it. They do it though. I think that's something important, is they do actually go. Not exactly excitedly, but they do go, and that's something. And I think, honestly, we are a little bit more, at least I know I am, we are a little bit more like Laman and Lemuel than we are like Nephi. Maybe not to this degree, maybe not if such grand things happen to us would we be as complainy and doubting as they are. But I think often in our lives, we kind of hang back, we kind of complain, we kind of wonder if what the Lord is asking us to do is possible. I think a lot of us do that. And also, like Laman and Lemuel, we still do it. We might complain a bit, but we still do it at least. I personally think that many of us are a little bit more like Laman and Lemuel than we like to admit. Again, probably not to the degree, because they are very, very rebellious. But I think all of us are a bit rebellious. We're all a little bit doubting. We all complain a bit. We all hang back a bit until sometimes someone has to come and show us the way. Someone has to come and kind of convince us a bit. But that doesn't mean we can't be like Nephi. And also, I don't think that's necessarily a bad place to start. And that may be kind of strange to say. It's like, wait, you think it's okay to start off complaining and doubting? I honestly do, if that's where you're starting. But it's not okay to stay there. That's the thing. I think it's okay to start there. Obviously, yes, it would be so much better if you started off without any doubts. You started off without any complaints, and you just followed the Lord perfectly. Of course, that would be preferable. Yes, 100%. But I think if you follow the Lord, even if you are grumbling a bit, that is better than not following Him. I personally think if you're starting off following the Lord and you complain a bit, maybe you have some doubts, but you are following what He's asked you to do, I think that's okay. As long as you are working to become better, as long as you are moving to be more like Nephi than Laman or Lemuel, as long as you're not staying in that place of complaining, of doubting, of murmuring. If you're moving closer to God, moving closer to faith, if you are trying to grow and to become better, then I do not think it matters where you start. Personal opinion, but that's what I believe. Okay, let's keep going. And it was by night, and I caused that they should hide themselves without the walls. And after they had hid themselves, I, Nephi, crept into the city and went towards the house of Laban. And I was led by the Spirit, not knowing beforehand the things which I should do. Nevertheless, I went forth, and as I came near unto the house of Laban, I beheld a man, and he had fallen to the earth before me, for he was drunken with wine. And when I had come to him, I found that it was Laban. Okay, I think a couple of things is really worth pointing out there. So, they get back to the city, and Nephi, whether it's because they were just totally, not willing to come in, his brothers, or if he just decided he would go in by himself, whatever the case. He goes in by himself, but he says something there that is so interesting and I think pretty important. He says, I went beforehand not knowing what I should do. I was led by the Spirit, not knowing beforehand what I should do. I think that is how it happens in our lives a lot. Like a lot. We're not always gonna know the end. We're not always gonna know what's coming. We're gonna know just the direction we need to go, and the Spirit is gonna lead us. But we won't always know beforehand what we should do. So maybe you're trying to get a job, you're trying to get into a certain school, you're trying to find your spouse, you're trying to, whatever it is. There are gonna be many times in our lives that we are not gonna know why the Spirit is telling us to do certain things. We're not gonna know what's going on. I mean, I can vouch for it personally in my life. I can't tell you how many times the Spirit has led me to do things that I don't know why He was leading me to do that. I have no idea. I mean, there's been some times where I later get an answer as to why I got that direction. But there's other times I have no idea why. So let me give you a couple of examples just real quick. So there's been times where I have felt like the Spirit was telling me I should talk to certain people. And there's been times where like I'll text a friend and just tell them everything's gonna be okay, kind of check in on them, just see what's going on in their life, how they're doing. And I will come to find that they're like, wow, I really needed someone to reach out to me. I was praying for help. And because I reached out, because I followed the Spirit, not really knowing why, not knowing beforehand why I was doing it, I was able to be an answer to someone's prayer. But there are other times that I didn't see the end result. I don't really know why. Another example that comes to mind, this one, it could be kind of either way, because I didn't see what effect my words had on this girl, but I remember I was going to sit down in my car. I had just walked out of the temple and it was raining. It was dark. Like not a very good environment to just approach someone, right? So as I was going to sit down in my car, I looked to the side and I noticed there was a girl sitting in her car in the stall right next to mine. And it was pretty clear that she was like crying. She was not in a good place. And I felt like, hey, go talk to her. And that was definitely the Spirit, because I wouldn't do that. I am very reclusive most of the time. And also on top of that, it's like, really, right now? It's raining, it's dark. I mean, her windows are all rolled up. How would you feel if you were that person? You're just sitting there crying in your car. It's dark, it's rainy, and some random person comes up and knocks on your window. That feels kind of creepy, I don't know. So that's what was going through my head right at the beginning. I'm like, I don't know about this. This seems like not smart, why would I do that? But the Spirit kind of pushed me a couple times, and I'm like, fine, this is going to be so awkward, but why not? I'll do it. And so I go over and I knock on this girl's window. It's rainy, it's dark, it's weird. But I knock on this girl's window. She rolls it down. I just kind of ask if she's okay. She says she's okay. She's also crying as she says it. And I simply told her that God loved her. That was it. I said goodbye and I left. So I didn't get to see the aftermath of that. I mean, I know I was led to go talk to her and tell her that the Lord loved her. So that's kind of after, I guess you could say. But I don't know if that really did anything. And I think our lives are going to be like that a lot of the time. The Spirit is going to lead us to do things, and we're not going to know why beforehand. In many cases, there are some where we will get to know, whether quickly or down the line a ways. Like I'll tell you another story that comes to mind real quick. Another story I remember, this was Elder Bednar and I think Elder Packer? It was another one of the apostles. But Elder Bednar, when he was a missionary, this apostle came, newly called apostle, came, and they were like in Germany, I want to say. They were somewhere over in that hemisphere. And he ended up giving this apostle some money. He had no idea why. He gave this apostle some money as they were leaving on a train. Fast forward like dozens of years. This Elder Bednar, who was a missionary at the time, is now an apostle himself with this other apostle. And somehow this topic came up where Elder Bednar is like, do you remember when you came to my mission and I picked you up, I kind of drove you around? And the other apostle is like, oh yeah, and do you remember that you gave me these 20 marks or however much money it was? Do you remember that you gave me this money? And he kind of goes into some other stuff. And Elder Bednar's like, I do not even remember that. And this other apostle goes on to tell him it must have been inspired of God, especially because at the time, that was quite a bit of money. Like this missionary, Elder Bednar, gave him a decent amount of money. And Elder Bednar, maybe he was just like worried that the apostle wouldn't have money for food on the train. They might get hungry. But it was 100% a prompting from the Lord, because as this apostle and his wife were going on the train, there was a checkpoint where the officials on the train, they were checking everyone's passports, and they checked his wife's passport, and his wife's passport, there was something wrong with it. He actually couldn't understand the language of this man who was checking the passport, just that there was definitely something wrong. And this man is getting more and more angry. And it looks like it's going towards something that could potentially be very dangerous. And then this apostle remembers those 20 marks that Elder Bednar gave him. And he puts the 20 marks in his wife's passport, hands it back to this angry man. The man leaves. He comes back a little later. The 20 marks are gone. He hands the passport back, and they go on their way. After they get to their destination, this apostle brings it up with one of the people they had come to meet. And this man was very, very surprised and concerned, because apparently the officials on the train had been actually pulling people off the train and even potentially imprisoning them if their passports weren't right. Like, it was more or less impossible for people with something wrong with their passport to get over that checkpoint. So this apostle tells Elder Bednar this dozens of years later. Had no idea until later in life why he was prompted to give money to someone. Yes, just like Nephi, there can be many, many times in our lives. Whew, that was a steep slope, I'm sorry, breathing heavy. There can be many times in our lives where we are going to have to follow the Spirit, and we're not going to know beforehand why we're doing what we're doing. That's exactly how it was here with Nephi. He starts going into the city. He has no idea. He doesn't even have a plan this time. Last time, at least they had a plan. This time, he just starts creeping through the streets, heading in the direction of Laban's, and more or less, I imagine, hoping for a miracle, just kind of following the Spirit as to which ways he should go. And as he is going, the Spirit leads him to this man who's fallen drunk, unconscious, and it's Laban. So the Spirit, if we follow the Spirit, even if we don't know why, even if we're not sure why he's telling us to talk to that person, or give a gift to this person, or maybe even just not going to a place, or going to a place, or there can be so many things that the Spirit will direct us to do that we may not understand why. But I will tell you, I promise that if you follow the Spirit of the Lord, what he directs you to do, even if you don't understand why, the Lord's going to look out for you. And you may see how he's looking out for you, or you may not. But I promise that either way, he will look out for you if you follow him. In whatever way he does that, he is going to. So if you get a prompting, follow it. And don't wait either, because sometimes promptings are very time sensitive. Okay, one more story before we go back into reading on, just along that time sensitive. So President Monson, one of the past prophets of our church, in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, he was in a meeting, and I can't remember exactly what the meeting was or whatnot, but he was feeling like he should go visit this man in the hospital. And President Monson's like, well, I'm in a meeting. I need to stay here. It's my responsibility. I need to stay here. I'll go when it's over. And he got that prompting a few times during the time that he was there in that meeting, but he kind of ignored it. And then finally, when the meeting is over, he starts going to go visit this person in the hospital. So he gets to the hospital, and as he's going to this man's room, a nurse comes out and she's like, oh, are you Tommy Monson? And kind of just asks who he is. And he's like, yeah, that's me. And she's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. He just passed away." And as he was passing away, he was calling out your name. Now, that would hurt. I really, really feel for President Monson there, because that would be really painful. But you know what? It taught him a very important lesson. It taught him that when you receive spiritual promptings from the Lord, you need to act on them. You need to do it. You shouldn't procrastinate. You shouldn't wait. Don't keep putting it off. Because sometimes if you put it off, you'll never actually get a chance to do it. And in the case of President Monson, this person had died before he got to him because he did not follow that prompting that he had received quickly enough. And for President Monson, like I said, it taught him a very important lesson, and he made a promise, a vow, whatever you want to call it, from then forward that he wouldn't wait anymore. If he got the Spirit telling him to do something, he would do it. Let's read on now. So Nephi just found Laban by following the Spirit, not knowing beforehand what he was going to do. And let's see what happens next. And I beheld his sword, and I drew it forth from the sheath thereof. And the hilt thereof was of pure gold, and the workmanship thereof exceedingly fine. And I saw the blade thereof was of the most precious steel. And it came to pass that I was constrained by the Spirit that I should kill Laban. But I said in my heart, never at any time had I shed the blood of a man. And I shrunk, and I would that I might not slay him. So, okay, here's a bit of a doozy here. Oh, that's interesting. Like an old tennis court or something, basketball court. Anyways, here's a bit of a doozy. When people get to this part in the Book of Mormon, many times they'll be like, now hold on here. What? The Lord is telling Nephi to kill Laban? He's telling him to murder? That doesn't seem right. I don't know about this Book of Mormon thing. and I understand the concern. I do. But the Book of Mormon, as we read on, it'll actually answer this concern. It'll answer this concern as to why he had to do this. But not only that, there's more to it. Let me point out also here, if this concerns you, if reading the Book of Mormon and seeing the Lord command that a wicked man be killed, if that's concerning, I mean, if you're an atheist, then what I'm about to say won't necessarily hold any more weight. But if you're a Christian and this is concerning to you, have you read the Old Testament? If you haven't, I suggest you go give it a read. Because in the Old Testament, the Israelites are commanded to destroy a lot of people. In fact, not even just a wicked man. They're commanded at times to destroy entire cities of wicked people and to clear the land of wicked people. Like, this isn't new. This isn't something that's new. It's been commanded throughout time. As far back as the Israelites coming out of Egypt, the Lord commanded that they were to cleanse the wicked. people from the land. And if you're not a Christian, like I said, maybe that seems a little concerning, but when you think about it, it's just. That's how I would say it. Just like if someone was a murderer in our civilization today, they would receive a just punishment for what they're doing, what they've done. In the same way, the Lord will command that the wicked are destroyed at times. Sometimes he uses natural disasters, fires, all sorts of things, and sometimes he uses people. So that's just something to think about and even pray about. If it's concerning to you that the Lord would command the killing of wicked people, if that's concerning to you, I would suggest praying to God about it, asking him about it. But as I said, we're actually going to get, the Book of Mormon itself will also shed some light on this situation here as we go on. And the Spirit said unto me again, behold, the Lord hath delivered him into your hands. Yea, and I also knew that he had sought to take away mine own life. Yea, and he would not hearken unto the commandments of the Lord, and also had taken away our property. So it's like, yeah, he's not a good guy. And it came to pass that the Spirit said unto me, slay him, for the Lord hath delivered him into thy hands. So the Spirit is just kind of prompting him like, hey, you got to do this. And I think it's also good to point out that Nephi didn't actually want to do this. He didn't actually want to do this. He like shrank and he's like, I've never killed a man before. I don't want to do this. And sometimes that's how it's going to be with us. Not that we'll necessarily get commanded to kill someone, but we will at times be commanded to do things that maybe we don't want to do. That doesn't seem like a good thing. Or maybe it's just a very difficult thing. But sometimes the Lord will ask of us things that are difficult. I know he's asked it of me. I'm sure he's asked it of you too. Okay, continuing. Behold, the Lord slayeth the wicked to bring forth his righteous purposes. It is better that one man should perish than a nation should dwindle and perish in unbelief. So that's kind of one of the things I was talking about, where it's giving us a reason right there. It is better for one wicked man to perish, to die, than for a whole nation to dwindle or not believe. So when you look at it that way, one man's life as compared to a nation's faith, the scales are pretty obvious what direction it should go in. Here's the thing. Life ends here on earth, but it never ends in the eternities. This life is just a beginning. It's just the starting. This is a stepping stone for the eternities. And if you have faith, if you believe, if you follow Christ in this life, your eternities are going to be so much the better for it. So much the better for it. You'll have joy. You'll have eternal progress. You'll be able to become just like Christ, as it talks about in the Bibles, that we're in the Bible, that we're joint heirs with Christ. You will be able to become something so much more. So if you look at it that way, the spiritual side, the faith, the belief of even a few people, I would probably say is comparable to a physical life. And that may sound very, very extreme. I know. I'm not planning to go out and kill anyone, do not worry. But this is the reason that the Lord gives for this. It is better that a wicked man, and I think that's also important. He's not killing a good man. He's killing more or less a murderer and a thief. He's killing a wicked man. That's another thing to point out. It is better for one wicked man to die than for a whole nation to not have faith. And these plates that Nephi and his brothers are trying to get, they're the scriptures. This is the writings from prophets. So that's why this whole thing is coming into play about dwindling in unbelief, because what they're trying to get here is the scriptures. And it's not like they can just pull out a phone or a tablet and read the scriptures on there. They didn't have that. If you didn't have your physical copy of the scriptures, you didn't have the scriptures. So that's why this is so important here. And now, when I, Nephi, had heard these words, I remembered the words of the Lord which he spake unto me in the wilderness, saying, Inasmuch as thy seed shall keep my commandments, they shall prosper in the land of promise. Yea, and I also thought that they could not keep the commandments of the Lord according to the law of Moses, save they should have the law. Yeah, that makes sense, right? You can't follow something you don't have or know. And I also knew that the law was engraven upon the plates of brass. And again, I knew that the Lord had delivered Laban into my hands for this cause, that I might obtain the records according to his commandments. Therefore I did obey the voice of the Spirit, and took Laban by the hair of the head, and I smote off his head with his own sword. And after I had smitten off his head with his own sword, I took the garments of Laban, and put them upon mine own body, yea, even every whit. And I did gird on his armor about my loins. So he did end up going through with it. He did kill Laban. And I think that's important. It kind of alluded to it there, but the Lord delivered this wicked man into his hands so that he could obtain the scriptures, so that a whole nation could have faith. And you'll see that come to fruition. You'll see how that works out going as we read on further. But I just want to go back again. It is very unlikely that the Lord will ever ask you to kill someone. That's not likely in this day and age. It could happen. I'm not taking that aside. Some of us are probably going to be in the tribulations before the end of the world, and we may have to protect ourselves and kill wicked people who are coming to kill the saints of the Lord before the second coming. But that aside, it is not super likely that the Lord will tell you to go kill someone. However, it is very likely that at one time or another, he is going to come and he is going to tell you to do something that is very difficult to do. In fact, if he didn't tell you to do some things that were very difficult for you to do over the course of your life, I would be shocked. Because the thing about being a disciple of Christ is that we have to do some hard things. Following Christ is not easy, nor were we ever told it would be. We've been told that we can get the help of the Lord. We've been told that he will walk with us, stand beside us, send angels to bear us up. But we were never told this was going to be easy. Because Satan will do everything he can to stand in our way. He will do everything he can to get you to quit. Because that's what he does. Because he is not going to be in the kingdom of God. And he is so spiteful and so miserable that he's going to try to keep you out of there too. He's going to try to keep you out of the kingdom of God. So it's not easy to follow the Lord. He's going to ask you to do some hard things. The Lord is. He's going to ask you to do some things that you don't want to do. He's going to ask you to give up some of your vices, to give up some of the things that you would rather keep doing that don't align with him and his gospel. And I just want to tell you that giving up those things is worth it. It is so worth it to do. May be difficult, but it is worth it. Just in this case, Nephi was called to kill a wicked man so that he could save a whole nation's faith. Not easy, not something he wanted to do, but the Lord asked it of him. So he did it. All right, let's keep going. Let's see how if he gets the plates here. So he just started after he had killed Laban. Now he's putting on all of Laban's armor. So he obviously has something in mind, right? Okay. And after I had done this, I went forth unto the treasury of Laban. And as I went forth to the treasury of Laban, behold, I saw the servant of Laban, who had the keys of the treasury. And I commanded him in the voice of Laban that he should go with me into the treasury. And he supposed me to be his master, Laban, for he beheld the garments, and also the sword girded about my loins. And he spake unto me concerning the elders of the Jews, he knowing that his master Laban had been out by night among them. And I spake unto him as if I had been Laban. I kind of wonder here, what's going on? How does this servant not recognize? I mean, it's dark, so visually, I guess you could say, yeah, he probably doesn't recognize him visually because it's dark, and Nephi has on all his clothes, so that makes sense visually. But his voice, his manner, his knowledge, Nephi, I can only figure two things here. Either this Nephi is like a voice impressionist and he knew Laban really well, or, which I think is more likely, is the second option. The Lord, by some means, some miracle, he caused Nephi to sound exactly like Laban, so that this servant, actually heard Laban. And on top of that, the Spirit of the Lord knows all things. And he can bring all things that we need to know to our remembrance. So it is very possible that the Spirit gave him knowledge of what to say and how to say it to convince this servant that he really was Laban. That's a pretty crazy miracle right there. That is a pretty crazy miracle right there. Let's keep going. And I also spake unto him that I should carry the engravings which were upon the plates of brass to my elder brethren who were without the walls. Whew. I picked this trail, the Bonneville Trail, because it's supposed to be really flat. Maybe I went off the trail. Maybe I left the Bonneville Trail and started a different one, because whoo-wee, my goodness. Okay. And I also, I'm getting sweat on my Book of Mormon. This Book of Mormon is going to be wrecked by the end of it. It's going to be huge. And I also bade him that he should follow me. And he, supposing I spake of his brethren of the church, and that I was truly Laban whom I had slain, wherefore he did follow me. And he spake unto me many times concerning the elders of the Jews. And I went forth unto my brethren who were without the walls. I think it's kind of funny that here, Nephi didn't even lie. He was just like, yeah, I'm taking the brass plates to my brothers, and they're outside of the walls. And the servant here is like, oh yeah, your church friends. Okay, let's go talk to them. And I suppose he didn't correct the servant. But I think it's funny, he wasn't even lying. He was just like straight up, oh yeah, I'm taking these to my brothers. They're outside the walls. Why don't you come along? And the servant's like, yeah, I'll come with you. This is kind of funny to me. And it came to pass that when Laman saw me, he was exceedingly frightened, and also Lemuel and Sam. And they fled from before my presence. For they supposed it was Laban, and that he had slain me, and now sought to take away their lives also. And it came to pass that I called after them, and they did hear me, wherefore they did cease to flee from my presence. And it came to pass that the servant of Laban beheld my brethren. He began to tremble, and he was about to flee from before me, and return to the city of Jerusalem. And now I, Nephi, being a man large in stature, and also having received much strength of the Lord, therefore I did seize upon the servant of Laban, and held him, that he should not flee. And it came to pass that I spake unto him, that if he would hearken unto my words, as the Lord liveth, and as I live, even so that if he would hearken unto my words, we would spare his life. And I spake unto him, even with an oath, that he need not fear, that he should be a free man, like unto us, if he would go down into the wilderness with us. And I also spake, saying, surely the Lord hath commanded us to do this thing. And shall we not be diligent in keeping the commandments of the Lord? Therefore, if thou wilt go down into the wilderness to my father, thou shalt have place with us. And it came to pass that Zoram, the servant guy, did take courage at the words which I spake. Now Zoram was the name of the servant, and he promised that he would go down into the wilderness unto my father. Yea, and he also made an oath unto us, that he would tarry with us from that time forth. And now we were desirous that he should tarry with us, for this cause, that the Jews might not know concerning our flight into the wilderness, lest they should pursue us and destroy us. And it came to pass that when Zoram had made an oath unto us, our fears did cease concerning him. And it came to pass that we took the plates of brass and the servant of Laban and departed into the wilderness and journeyed unto the tent of our father. So that last part I just read, the servant Zoram, he sees Nephi's brothers and he's like, oh crap, I gotta get out of here. These aren't Laban's church people. This isn't even Laban. But Nephi stops him, and then he tells this servant Zoram that, hey, if you come with us, you'll be a free man. And you know what? The Lord is actually commanding us to do this. So shouldn't we do what the Lord commands us to do? And this servant Zoram then immediately makes a promise. He's like, you know what? I will go with you. I promise to go with you to the tent of your father. And then it says something very interesting there. It said that their fears, they had no more fear because of Zoram. That to me is very, very interesting, because in the past, here it said they gave an oath and they're good to go. They're good to go. They gave their word, and that is enough to stop any fears. Even though they're basically strangers to each other. That's kind of crazy, don't you think? That strangers could give their word, and in a case like this where you don't even know, maybe these people are going to try to kill you, but you're not afraid because they give their word. I feel like that is something that we have lost in our time. We have lost that honesty and that integrity, that character. Just think about it now. We have to get everything in writing. We have to get signatures. We have to get all these things. Sometimes we even want video evidence. We want all of this stuff, because people don't stick by their word anymore. People don't stick by their word anymore. And that's actually, personally, I think that's a really sad thing. That's a really sad thing to me. We should be able to stand by our word. If we give our word, someone should be able to trust it. I mean, I remember a little story I heard that I thought was so cool. There's this guy, Zig Ziglar, awesome dude. He's a awesome inspirational speaker. And he was talking about this experience he had where he had come back home, and this was later in his life, he had moved away, but he came back home and he went to this store to pick some stuff up, and for some reason he needed his ID. But he had forgotten it, so when the cashier asked for his ID, he's like, oh, I don't actually have it. I forgot it. And somehow it came, he asked him his name or something, and it was found out by the cashier that he was a Ziegler. And immediately he's like, you know what? You're good. You take it. I don't need to see any identification. And Zig Ziglar's like, what? Just a second you were saying you needed to see it. And the cashier's like, the name of Ziglar around here can be trusted. It holds weight. I don't need to see your identification. And Zig Ziglar, with that experience, was just, it made him so proud of his name, because those of his family that lived there, they could be trusted.
And that was such a cool story when I heard it, that like someone's name was trusted because that person or that family always stuck by what they said. They were honorable people. They were trustworthy people. And I think that is something that much of the world has lost in our days. We've lost that ability to trust, and we've lost that ability to actually stick by our word. Nowadays, someone's word really doesn't matter much. But in the past, like here with Nephi and this servant, giving your word, promising something, it was basically binding. It was binding. And honestly, like I said, that to me is just absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I wish we could be more like that. And honestly, we should be more like that. As followers of the Lord, we should be a people of honor, a people of faith, a people of trust, a people that others can trust. When we give our word, when we make a promise, it should bind us. It should. When you give your word to someone, you should follow through. We should be a trustworthy people. The people of the Lord, you should never have to worry if they are telling the truth or not. You should never have to worry if they're liars or backbiters or thieves or all of these things. You should be able to trust those who claim they follow the Lord. So we, as the people of the Lord, should be trustworthy. We should stand by what we say. We should tell the truth. We should be an honest people. And I wish we could get back to that. I want to get back to that. Let's get back to that. I mean, in the scriptures, there's one scripture that says something about like swearing by the heavens, or the scriptures or the name of God is like evil. Your language should just be yay, yay, and nay, nay, which basically is yes and no. So you shouldn't even have to make some grand promise. You should just say yes and no, and then people can trust you. That's where we should get as a people, to be perfectly trustworthy. There's my rant on that. I want us to be an honorable people, a people that the world can trust. Because if you can't trust the followers of the Lord, that they will do what they say, can you really trust anyone? Okay, that's that. I'll stop ranting on that. It's just something I'm a little passionate about. We should be trustworthy. We should always tell the truth. We should be an example of truth and honor. So thanks for being here with me on hiking with the Book of Mormon and my gun. If you're enjoying the content, like it, comment, throw down some comments if there were things I didn't talk about that you're like, hey, why didn't you talk about this? Throw that in the comments and I'll give you my thoughts. Or if there's stuff you didn't like or stuff you did like, whatever, just throw some comments down. And share it with some people. I'm sure some parts of my rambling had some type of value, right? Or even if they didn't, the Book of Mormon has a lot of value, and I did read that, so share it with people. Share this with people. And subscribe so you know when more is coming out. It's always good to know when the next episode hits. All right, thanks for being here. Till next time, go out there, read some Book of Mormon, do some hiking,
And if you're alone out in the mountains or something, make sure to take some protection with you. Something like maybe a gun or something, I don't know, some protection. All right, have fun out there.